Lakers are going to have 44 home games, right? The two that they play against the Clippers, which, again, technically is in a different arena now, but you know that L.A. is still a Laker town, and this one tonight against the Mavericks in Dallas. Now, Evan, I am curious, how much of a percentage of the blame pie can you actually give Luka? Because I know that he did not choose to leave. He wanted to stay in Dallas. But sometimes your choices are not actually through like what you quote unquote actively choose, but also through your actions, right? Like if Ja Morant got traded in this offseason, did he choose to leave? No. Was he doing things belligerently and actively to get himself more available than the other stars in the league? Yes, that's kind of a choice. Luka chose to walk into camp year after year out of shape. He chose to give a lack of effort on defense in pivotal moments in the finals and throughout the regular season. Like the Mavericks brass at least have some kind of reasoning behind it. Imagine if those two things weren't happening, they would have absolutely no excuse to ship him off.
Right. So here's my answer to that. And you mentioned JMP, Jeremy Marks Palace, our teammate at ESPN West Palm. Okay. He brought up something very interesting when this all happened. If Luka has put himself in a position where the team cannot get through to him for all of the items you just mentioned, and the team wants to trade him, if you own that team, find a new GM who can get through to him. Find a new head coach who can get through to him. You don't trade the player that's unbelievable and irreplaceable. You find someone who can get through to him.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, you could say, hey, Dirk didn't get through to him. Jason Kidd is a Hall of Fame player. He's not getting through to him. Rick Carlisle's not getting through to him, the previous head coach now in Indiana. NICO Harrison, an extremely high-level executive at Nike who had Kobe's ear of all people. Like, you think he knows, but you think Kobe's letting people in his ear and in his circle that aren't high performers in life, right? But all of that said, find someone else.
Hold on, because I might be catching you a little bit of being a little bit of a hypocrite here, Evan Cohen, who is a purveyor of heat culture.
Jimmy Butler has proven multiple times no one can get through to him.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, what if that's the same thing for Luka? Because we haven't seen that much of a difference out of him when it comes to defensive effort, and he's with the one guy in the league that would be able to help him turn it on when it comes to his body habits as well as maybe effort when it matters. But I'm curious to you, if the Heat were in the Mavericks position, and Pat Riley and Mickey Arison and Eric Spoelstra, and everybody decided, hey, we can't get this guy to do the things we're asking him to do. He is electric. He is elite. Like, let's just say if Kyle Lowry was Luka level talent.
By the way, there was I'm glad you brought that up. There was a very interesting moment that rightfully so no one saw the other night because no one in their right mind would be such a loser to watch the entirety of the Heat-Sixers game like I was.
Oh.
Kyle Lowry at the end of the game went running over to the Heat bench to love it up with Spo and the entire Heat team, which I thought was very interesting because you and I both know there are a lot of people that have said that the turning point with Jimmy was Kyle Lowry's arrival and realizing the Heat culture is not the only way because Kyle Lowry won a championship, obviously, in Toronto, that people kind of not blame Kyle Lowry as much as blame that timing.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting that Kyle Lowry, who notoriously was not a huge fan of Heat culture, sprinted over to them to love it up with them, almost like, I miss you guys. Anyway.
He's probably happy to be on the other side of it. Plus, hey, if there's one franchise that can make you miss the Heat instantly,
that's true.
You see how it's going.
Okay, so to answer your question, it's a very good philosophical question. What if the Heat, specifically and Pat Riley, couldn't get everything they wanted out of Luka?
Yeah, would you be calling for Pat Riley's job?
No, because the answer is it's not a fair comparison because Pat Riley has won so much with so many people that it's automatically the other person's fault.
Right.
NICO Harrison hasn't done that. It's funny, I was talking to Chris Canty today, my co-host, Michelle Smallman on Sportsmanlike 6010 here on ESPN 106.3, about Ozzie Newsome, who was his boss in Baltimore. And I said, you can't compare people to Ozzie. And he's like, why? And I said, that man is one of one. He said, why? I said, how many guys were Hall of Fame players and Hall of Fame executives who look like you? And he said, I can't find any. And I said, that man is a unicorn. He is a Hall of Famer every which way. And there's a way in which he can talk to people and do things that other people can't. It's why Ozzie Newsome is a football god. Right?
The Wizard.
Pat Riley It's not the look like. And I'm going to be honest. I think race matters in some of this stuff. I really do. I think that unfortunately, there's not many people that look like NICO Harrison have the job that he had, right? At the same time, he's only had this job. He doesn't have the Pat Riley level of decades of proof in the pudding. Ozzie Newsome, if he's the general manager, it's weird that we're having this conversation. Canty and I literally just had this. If Ozzie Newsome is this general manager, he can say to Luka, you better do what I say because I know better than you do. And he'd be right because there's proof in the pudding. That's the issue with NICO Harrison. There was no proof in the pudding.
I am curious because I know that it's a small slither of a chance. The percentage points are especially down because of the fact that now Kyrie Irving is hurt and he won't be able to come back until next year. Anthony Davis is residually hurt. I'm curious. Like, there's a world in which 15 years from now we look back on that deal and say the Mavericks won. It's a very small chance. You're saying there's no chance, there is a chance, and you know there is. If Luka's unable to win a championship with the Lakers and the Mavericks at some point are able to retool, the only issue I have with that trade then is the fact that they didn't get more back in the deal. I agree with you. It was a bad deal. I agree that it also, you never trade away generational and talents or people that are that much of a cult-like figure in your city. You alienate your fans immediately, but there is a world in which the Mavericks end up winning it, and it's not based on what the Mavericks do. It's more so based on what the Lakers get out of Luka, because if LeBron can't get that guy to get his body right and get his act right the offseason, and if the Lakers aren't able to motivate him, J.J. Redick not able to motivate him to be stepping up on defense and giving more effort, again, there's a chance in which he retires a beloved character with no championships. Yeah, and if you go to the Lakers and don't get a championship, that's a failure.
No, it's not.
Name a superstar that's went to the Lakers and did not get a championship, though?
Well, hold on. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I believe even if he leaves after next season when he's a free agent, or whenever it is, 2 years, whenever he's a free agent, okay, right? If he leaves, I still think the Lakers won the trade, and I'll tell you why. Anthony Davis is not a Batman. He is forever a Robin. If they were going to try for 1 second for Anthony Davis to lead that team, that would have been a mistake. In addition, I believe that is the singular moment they took their team back from LeBron James. Because I think if LeBron truly knew all along, he potentially would have stopped that trade because of his loyalty to his friend and Anthony Davis. Rolling the dice on Luka, even if it leaves you with nothing, is actually better than paying Anthony Davis to lead your team moving forward because he's not the face of the franchise. I think they won the trade even if Luka leaves.
I agree with you that the prospects of paying AD and trying to turn over the franchise. Remember, when that trade happened, the whole storyline was LeBron has found his heir apparent. He's going to be able to turn over the keys to Anthony Davis. That has not worked out. Luka, you actually can feel that comfortable about. I think he will buy in to staying in LA. I think he retires a Laker at this point. I just am not 100% sold on the fact that if Luka does stick it out with the Lakers and not get any rings, he won't be looked at negatively because there's other guys. Like if you look around the league now, there are so many other guys who are great two-way players who are coming up, and Luka is essentially like Jokic. You can call maybe somewhat one way. He's good enough on defense and he's big enough to be an impact. Luka is a turnstile actively in the playoffs, and that's been his detriment every single series that he's gotten bounced.
Here's the reality on this, Theo. Just like in closing on this part of it. Tonight, we are about to, as sports fans, witness something we've never seen. We've seen the guy who gets booed every time he touches the ball, every time he shoots a shot, every time he throws a pitch, every time he's up at bat, every time he touches the puck in hockey. We've seen that guy. I don't think we've ever seen a road player get cheered every time he will touch the ball.
Man. Imagine a Luka game winner going in for the Lakers at the buzzer, and the Mavs fans erupt. But in applause.
Is that more badass? Let me give you which one is more badass. Game winner by Luka, or the Lakers announce in like 10 minutes he ain't playing tonight?
Oh, no, he can't do that. That's bad.
That is kind of a badass move, though.
No, he wouldn't do that to the Mavericks fans, though, because he loves them, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wants to give them a show.
Think about the organization. They put all of this work into the night tonight. They're selling all these tickets and whatnot. And Luka's like, yeah, you're not going to benefit off of me after what you did to me. I'm out. I ain't going. Think about that.
That's unimaginable, Evan.